In 2023, Massage and Myotherapy Australia, under its awards program, partnered with Football Australia Limited, Football Australia, the governing body for football soccer in Australia and a member of Fédération Internationale de Football Association, FIFA, to sponsor two Massage and Myotherapy Australia members to work with the para teams, the Pararoos and the Paramatildas, at the 2024 International Federation of Cerebral Palsy Football World Cup. Scholarships recipients Sarah and Georgia travelled to Spain to support the teams at this prestigious event. Hi, Sarah, and welcome to Connect. You're a member of Massage and Myotherapy Australia. How long have you been a massage therapist for?
Oh, Selena, I've been a massage therapist for 20 years. So I think I'm probably part of the first kind of groups of people who joined up with Massage and Myotherapy Australia with its previous name.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've been about 25 years now as well. Yeah. So we're in about the same genre, aren't we?
Absolutely, yeah.
So how did you feel when you were selected for the Massage and Myotherapy Australia scholarship to work with the para teams?
Selena, I was really excited to get that opportunity. So it was one of those things that when I'd seen a few of these emails come through for the sporting scholarships. And when this one came through, I thought, if ever there is something that is completely my jam, this is it, because I do work quite a lot with clients with disabilities and in NDIS through the work I do as a lymphedema practitioner. And I do have experience in sports massages as well. But I still I thought I have to apply for this, but I didn't really think I would get the position. And when I got the notification, I was very excited because I'm very passionate about women's sports and also about para sports.
Sounds like it was really, really up your alley then.
Yeah, it was. And look, I was really fortunate as well that, Vince Cosentini, who's the head of massage for Football Australia and also used to be on the board of Massage and Myotherapy, when he notified me that I got the position, and then I got to speak to him on the phone quite shortly afterwards. And that was really great to have that introduction from him and a welcome into it straight away. So I felt immediately that this is the place that I'm meant to be working with at the moment. So it was great.
So that leads me into my next question. There was a lot of work in the lead up to you heading away. Tell us about the workshops and the training and the camps that you completed with Football Australia before you left.
Yep. So the very first tournament I did with them was actually the Para Asia Cup, which was held in Bundoora in Melbourne. And so I was with the Paramatildas, and that was a 16-day camp and tournament. So there was like a pre-camp and then the tournament, and that I really hit the ground running with that, because it was really only 3 weeks notice from when we'd been accepted into the position to coming on board with the team. And the team itself, the staff, were fantastically welcoming to me straight away, and it was great to have excellent managers, and also to know that I had that communication with Vince if I needed to speak to him. So I did that camp. That was the whirlwind. We did win the Para Asia Cup, which was fantastic. And then after that, we had 3 domestic squad camps, and the domestic squad camps are really 3-day camps where they're kind of developing the style that they might be playing, but also getting to know the team. There's a lot of well-being meetings as well. We might be looking at video footage, and it's a lot about team bonding. And one of those camps was held at the Australian Institute of Sport, and that was fantastic. I said to one of the players, she's 17, and I said, here you are, 17-year-old rocking into the Australian Institute of Sport. I said, I'm 52, but I got here. Got here in some capacity, and it was really great to see those sporting facilities. And
you're never too old to hit those goals and reach those.
Yeah, Absolutely. And that's the thing about putting yourself out for something when you think, oh no, that might have gone past me a little bit. So that was really great. And in those squad camps, because the Para Matildas they're quite a new team. They've only been around for 2.5 years. So
Mhm.
at that point, they weren't just developing their sense of style of play and like their defensive and offensive and their fitness, but they were also working on their values and what their team culture was going to be. And because I'd come in at that point, I had that great opportunity to sit in and contribute with that, with as a staff and a player group, and watch how that evolved over the 12 months that I was actually with the team. So that was something that probably I didn't expect that I'd get the opportunity to do, but I feel was of great value to me, and to also actually see the sequence of how they went through to work that out was really good.
That sounds so rewarding.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
How did you prepare personally for your role in supporting the teams? Is there anything that you did in the lead up personally before you left?
Yeah, I would say that, like you do with your own kind of clinic practice, it's maintaining your body. So
Mhm.
I definitely focused on, I booked a few treatments for myself before I'd go into, especially the tournament. The domestic camps weren't such a load on my body, because domestic camps, there's not a lot of time for treatment, but the tournaments is really when you're really working at that higher intensity. And so I would really maintain my fitness as much as I could. So I love CrossFit, and I go to Dales for CrossFit. So I'd like to thank all of them for their support and keeping me training during those times. And also I see a myotherapist who's a member of Massage and Myotherapy Australia, Amelia Sadler. So I was quite, I guess, purposeful on keeping up my training and my regime from that perspective before I went in. It's very easy, because we all know as clinicians that prior to going on holiday or going into something, everybody needs to see you, right? So you're busy, 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 busy. So you are kind of loaded up before you go. But I was very mindful that, I had to really focus still on my health and fitness before I went in. The other thing was that the Para Matildas is such a professional and elite sporting environment to be in, that you never went in blind to what was going on. So we always had an online meeting, perhaps 3 days before the camp started, where you could raise any concerns or issues. And sometimes I took the opportunity to speak to the playing group just a little bit more about what my role was within their team, because they hadn't had a sports massage therapist prior. And a lot of those players, although as para athletes they see massage therapists, remedial massage therapists, myotherapists, to have it in that sporting context is very different for them. So that was mostly, and tried to get as much sleep as possible. Certainly, I slept on that plane on the way over. I was out, so it was
Oh, you're lucky.
great. Yeah.
So what was a typical day like while you were in Spain? What was your routine? Were each player you treated, was each treatment different, or were there themes in how you treated the athletes? Were you did you do a lot of pre-game, post-game kind of work? What was sort of a typical day like while you were in Spain?
Yeah, so Selena, there's kind of two different days in that sporting environment. So you might have the day where there's actually match day, and then there could be a day before that. It's called match day -1 or match day -2. And on those days, there's not as much training. There's a little bit more rest for the players. So on those days, I would treat the players for quite a longer period of time. And because they're like para athletes, like cerebral palsy or stroke or acquired brain injury, that they come in with everybody has a history with their body, but these athletes, they know their bodies so well. So often what I was doing in those contexts was really troubleshooting any problems that they know comes up for them when they're fatigued, because with those conditions sometimes they can get fatigued quite quickly, and then they can go into some dystonic spasm, or they get a lot of neck pain, or cramps, or perhaps back pain. So in those contexts, the treatments I did on more of a rest day, we'll call it, were quite longer. They'd be almost 35, 40 minutes if I could, depending on the structure. And then usually be 2 blocks that was in the schedule of, say, treatment window. And that is one of like the really interesting things for me, because when I did sports massage back in the day, 15 years ago, there was no WhatsApp. There were no sports phones, there were no smartphones.
Yeah.
So now the team manager would send out via WhatsApp to the staff group and to the playing group. We had 2 separate lists, the running sheet for the next day. So it was really easy to schedule that in when I was going to treat the players. So that was all very specific.
Organised.
Yeah, super organised. And we always had medical monitoring in the morning, and that was the time that I would go in. There'd be myself, the rest of the medical staff. So there'd be the team doctor, neurophysio. So unlike other sporting teams, we had a neurophysio as well, and a sports physio. And that would be when I would gauge, okay, who wants treatment today, who needs treatment today, and then I could put the times in and send that to the team manager, who'd WhatsApp it off to the players. So it was all there written down. And the staff and the players, they worked really professionally. Everyone was always on time. So that makes it so much easier when things run to time. So a match day was very different. So on a match day, we were fortunate that all of our games kicked off at the same time, which was about 2:00 in the afternoon. So we would have medical monitoring at, say, 7:30 in the morning. And that would just go for half an hour. And at that point, I knew from the team meeting the night before who were the starting 5. So for the Paratillies, we have 5 players on their field at a time. So I would know who are going to be the starting 5. So at that point in medical monitoring, I'd approach the starting 5. Do you need a treatment before? Do you want a treatment before the start of the day? And they would get priority on the table. Mm-hmm. And so we do medical monitoring at 7:30. At 8:00, we'd all walk down to breakfast. So you always went to something in the team, and I love a team environment. And I think that's one of the great things about having this experience, is that when you work in a clinic, even if it's a small clinic, you're one-on-one with people all the time. So to be in that more dynamic, bigger space was great. And we always had what we were wearing to breakfast, right? So you wore something different to breakfast. To lunch, you wore your polo. We always knew exactly what uniform we had to be in, the staff and the players. So we'd all wander down for breakfast, and then at 8:30 there would be a team walk after breakfast. So we'd all just do a walk around the area that we were in the resort. And then there was about an hour or so of just like maybe 45 minutes or so, but then my treatment schedule started at 10, and I would see players for roughly around 20 minutes a block, through to about 11:50, and those players was probably that was more focused on prepping for the match. So that was really that pre-match sports, where I might be doing like a little bit more of a warm-up of the tissue. I'm certainly not really trying to fix any problems, but for a couple of the players that had these more specific musculoskeletal problems because of their cerebral palsy, I would work on those areas. So it wasn't just all legs. Which was for football, which was interesting. Then we'd go off for a quick lunch. Then on the bus, 12:30 out to the game. I was the ice queen, so my job was at the field. You'd see me trotting along with the esky, and then that was one of the times then where I had a little bit more downtime in the fact that you're still there a part of the team, but you're watching them warm up. The sports physio then is taking them through some warm-ups. Then the coaches take them through some drills and warm-ups beforehand, before the match. And I'm pretty much just watching. There's not much, maybe pass someone some water, kick some balls back. And then the players would prepare for the match. They'd play, and there'd be 4 of the staff. We would be sitting in the stands, because on the actual bench for a tournament, you can only have the coaching staff. So we had 3 coaches: the head coach, Kelly Sturton, assistant coach, Charlotte Urkel, and the goalkeeping coach, Kim Schaefer. And then we had the sports physio, the doctor, and that was it. That's all we really had on the bench. And the rest of us would go and sit in the stands. Then post-match, the players would return and go into recovery at the pool, and then I would meet them at 5:15. I'd say anybody who wanted to have a post-match massage had to meet me at 5:15, and then I would organise their timings from then. And and then we go through like that. So I think over the whole tournament phase, I did 75 treatments.
Wow.
Plus a couple of staff rolled in here and there. Yeah. So that was good. But Vince had given me some great advice to start with. And one was to, just have that confidence in your skills. So I knew that I had the skills and the awareness with para athletes, disabled people, to work to try and get them to stay at their peak performance. And so I just kind of rested in that space a lot. And the other thing was to take paper notes, and then type them up later. And that was such a great thing to know, because it really did mean you could just like wipe the table, next one's on, wipe the table, next one's on. And that vibe, especially pre-match in the room, is just awesome to be around, where they've got some music on, some beats, and these players as well, the oldest is around 30, the youngest is 16, and so there's a real mix of people. And it was a great vibrant energy to be around.
It sounds so well organised.
Oh, it was. And then I'd treat till about 10 to 7. Then it'd be dinner, team meeting at 7:30, off to bed, off you go again. And we did that pretty much many days in a row. So it was nice and tight, but everyone ran to time. So that just made it so much easier.
The Paramatildas made history by winning gold at their World Cup. That must have been so exciting to be involved with. What unique challenge or pressures did you face while supporting a team on such a monumental journey?
I think the pressures in itself is really having a great understanding of what your role is within the team and staying within that role, because we had quite a they were so great with Football Australia to have like a team manager, the coaches, the technical staff, medical staff, and so we knew who was in that role. And I think the other thing for me is that I was really aware of the energy that I was bringing into the place, so that when I walked through the team as they were getting ready to go off for breakfast, I go, morning team, just to really keep that energy up with them. And awareness of how you are around that environment. So I was that was not so much of a challenge, but something to just really keep in the back of my mind. Even the way I walked, and the kind of energy of, you're not lugging the esky around, it's just like moving with some purpose. Like, we're all happy to be here. We're all here for the same purpose. And that purpose is to help them achieve at their best, whether that be winning or not winning. And I really feel grateful to have had that opportunity, and for them to win the World Cup was just amazing. And especially to the way we won, to be 2-0 down and then we came back and won 5-2 really showed the culture that the team and the values that the team had established over those 12 months that I'd witnessed.
Wow. Wow. It just sounds, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it actually.
Yeah, no,
Um,
it was
on,
fantastic.
on that note, can you share a standout moment or achievement from your time that's had a lasting impact on you? Would it be winning in the end, winning the World Cup in the end, or is there another moment that's really stood out that you will take with you?
Yeah, there was a moment that I will say I got a tear in my eye, and so did the well-being manager Janet Dracos, who was sitting beside me, and it wasn't actually the final. It was a match before that, and we were playing a team that had funded itself to get there. The players had paid for themselves to get there,
Mm.
and like there are a lot of teams from different nations, all on different funding levels. And in CP football, you also have different categories or different tiers of level of disability within the actual team. So you have tier one, tier two, tier three. Tier one being most affected, tier three being less affected. And in this team, there was a point where they had to have a majority of their most affected players on the pitch because they'd had some injuries. And we could have well, I say we because I'm a part of it now. We could have really knocked that team out, 20-0, our standard of play compared to theirs. But
Mm-hmm.
there was this, and this comes from the coaching staff and staff down, that these are other people on the other side in the opposition, and we want to respect them, and respect is one of their core values that they've got. And there was this particular moment where the ball has gone into our playing half, and the player from the opposition has come across, and she was really finding it difficult and hard to get to the ball and control the ball. And our player came up, and look, our player could have just scooted the ball, gone off and kicked a goal. But no, instead she got that player, she allowed that player, positioned herself in a way to allow that player to have time on the ball and dribble the ball out and then pass. And I think that was just, I thought, wow, that is sport. When they talk about sportsmanship and care and respect, I thought
Yeah.
that was it just at that moment, because we did things in that match like everybody had to touch the ball twice, or you
Mm-hmm.
couldn't, you could only kick a goal from when it had been in this half, and things like that it slows down the play, so it's a little bit more competitive. But that to me was like a real understanding of the humanity that's in sports. And
Mm-hmm.
I think you get that a lot more in para sports than perhaps you do in able-bodied sports,
Mm-hmm.
because everyone is having to put a brace on before they play. Everyone has had to live in an able-bodied society. And so to have that moment where you've got two athletes and they're just giving someone else the opportunity to perform was that was probably a highlight for me, more than bringing home the cup.
Wow. I've got goosebumps again.
Great.
Seriously. Oh, do you have any advice for our members who are considering applying for a National Sporting Organisation Scholarship Award? They're a little bit hesitant to do that, thinking that maybe, like you when you first applied, maybe I'm not quite there with my skills, or I won't get it kind of attitude. Do you have advice for somebody who's thinking of applying for our scholarships?
um Yes, I do. The first thing is to, if something really interests you, like this really interested me when it came across. I'd seen some other sporting ones come up and I wasn't so interested in that. But if something does grab your attention, I think you really should apply for it. And I did put quite a bit of time into my application. And I think that's important as well, because it helps you establish why do I want to go and do this. The other thing is that I was really surprised at the level of buzz that it created amongst my clients. So you
Yeah.
might think, oh, I can't leave my work for two, because, you're leaving work for those camps, it was 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And you kind of think, oh, you know, I can't leave my work for that amount of time. But yeah, the buzz that it created with my clients was just, that really surprised me, and the support. So we had a fundraising challenge through a portion of last year to raise money for the para teams through Football Australia, and I was able to raise a lot of money, a lot from my clients, and particularly the ones that have disabilities, because they just had this awareness of how important this is, like the bigger picture of what sport is. And so I would really encourage people to do what they're interested in and not be worried about the effect that it's going to have on their client base, because it actually has a positive effect, not a negative effect at all.
Absolutely.
And then what happens is, you know, it's just also that expansion of your own knowledge and taking yourself out of your comfort zone. So, you know, I was comfortable with my skills and my skill level, but to work in that bigger team environment, even though I've been exposed to it before, it was a long time ago, and that having to fit in time schedules, being on buses, what uniform am I wearing, but you know, all of that, it's not really a stressor. It's actually like it's great, because it's giving you opportunities to think about yourself and also how you are with your clients, and bring your, I mean, I think like massage and myotherapy, practitioners, we're very professional, and it's bringing that level of professionalism also into another environment. So it's not just about me. I thought it's about raising awareness that this is what sports massage does, and this is the benefit that massage does for not just everyday people, but also for athletes.
So what's next for Sarah then? Has this experience cemented your goals, or has it enhanced them? Where's next? Where's this experience going to take you further after?
Selena, I'm putting together a short presentation that I'm going to take to a couple of the local football clubs here I'm in country Victoria. So, just a few little things about that match day preparation, and also I was fortunate enough that they did a lot of well-being sessions before we went on any of the tours or camps, and some of that information was just so because you're getting the latest possible scientific kind of data. So the information on match day nutrition I found fascinating. It's very different to what I thought it would be. So I'd like to share some of that and some of my story that I've done with other football clubs, and also I'd like to stay involved in the para field. So I'm going to approach a few other organisations and see, even if it's doing some volunteer work in CrossFit. We don't have disabled athletes. We have adaptive athletes, and we have CrossFit Games, and there's a CrossFit Games. There'll be a kind of like Australasia one in October this year. So I'd like to offer to go and do some work with those adaptive athletes at those games.
Wow.
Yeah. Especially because as a CrossFitter, I rolled into the AIS at 52, but I am not rolling into those CrossFit Games as a participant. So I better. I mean, I love it, but yeah, there's just certain things that never quite going to be what I can do, but I can certainly participate. And if I could work with those adaptive athletes that at those games, that would be awesome.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for chatting with us on Connect today, Sarah. It's been fascinating to get an insight into your experience with the Paramatildas, and I really hope, which I think it absolutely will, inspire a lot of our members to follow in your footsteps and apply for some of these scholarships that we have on offer, because it obviously offers a huge amount personally and professionally to our members to participate in one of these scholarships. So thank you so much. I've really enjoyed chatting today.
Oh, thanks, Selena, and thank you for the time to come on and share. And I'm also happy that if anybody has any specific questions that they'd like to know, I mean, obviously I didn't really touch completely on exactly the type of treatments I did or techniques, but I'd be happy to share some of that a little bit more one-on-one, or actually even if somebody's interested in doing a scholarship but not sure how to put in an application, I'd be happy to help them with that, like mentor them along, because they can be quite overwhelming a little bit when you look at a selection criteria. But it's really looking back at yourself and your knowledge and what you can put in. And I'd like to thank Massage and Myotherapy Australia for giving me this great opportunity. I've got 2 medals sitting in my office now, one from the Para-Asia Games and one from the IFCPF World Cup that was just in Spain. And I'd also like to thank again Vince Constantini for all of the support that he gave me, and my family, of course, my friends, and also my clients. Yeah, not that they'll be watching this, but I like to bring that out to my clients, but also the players and the staff of the Para Matildas, and that little team of people from Football Australia, because it really made my role as coming in, because I came into a team that was already established, if only for a year, but they made that work really well for me and enabled me to do my best role that I could for the players. So thank you very much, Selena.
Awesome. Thanks so much again for sharing your experience. It's been great. Hi, Georgia. Welcome to Connect. As a member of Massage and Myotherapy Australia, can you tell us a little bit about how long you've been a massage therapist, and how did you feel when you were selected for the Massage and Myotherapy Australia scholarship to work with the para teams?
Yeah, I've been a massage therapist now for about 2.5 years. So when I got the call up after my application, I was just so stoked, because I love working in sport. I love watching sport. So then when I applied, I was just like, this sounds awesome. So then, yeah, getting the call from Vince was really cool. It was a really cool opportunity to work with a team, not just like on a one-off event, but like over durational time, which I think can be pretty hard to come by early on in your career, such as mine. So yeah, when I got that opportunity from Vince, I was just over the moon, really.
So touching on that, there was a lot of work in the lead up to going away with the teams.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about the workshops and the training and the camps that you attended beforehand?
Yeah, definitely. So the first one I attended was the Asia World Cup in Melbourne. That was at the end of 2023. So that was like a 2-week camp that also had the Asia Cup. So it was like a week to kind of get into training, and then a week of like games and things as well. The day-to-day stuff of that, like, you kind of just got thrown into it, but it was like really cool just being able to like adapt pretty quickly to their like training schedules. And there was a really good foundation with the Pararoos that I worked with. Like, they have like a really good history. They have all their like core values they're working with. So just slotting into that and learning that from the get-go was pretty awesome. As well as like pretty much as soon as I got there, they were just so accommodating to me being there. They made sure pretty sure I spoke to almost every player the day I got there. So they were very accommodating. So the transition to being part of the team didn't feel like you're a bit of a stranger, which was nice, because sometimes it can be a bit daunting going into like well-established teams. And then, yeah, your day-to-day kind of varied a little bit, but generally like always a treatment window throughout the day. I worked alongside 2 like extremely professional, extremely friendly physios, Daniel Giorgio and Rick Whitehead. So I worked with them at the Asia Cup, and they, ran a real well-oiled machine, So it was cool to like learn from them, because they'd been doing it for a lot longer than I had. So yeah, we always had a treatment window. Usually you'd go and watch trainings. So even just like going to like their meetings and hearing about them talk about their values, even just like hearing them talk about how you wanted to present at dinner, from how you wanted to present at dinner versus then how you present on the field, like just getting to learn all that like from the get-go was pretty good. And then I did a few camps this 2024, sorry. So I would fly to Sydney. I think I did about 3 in Sydney. It was like fly up on a Friday and then straight into it again. Usually, again, you got your treatment window, you've got a training to watch, either like a practice game, but those ones are like extremely fast paced. You're in and out within like 3 days, and everything's go, go, go. And then leading up to the Asia, sorry, not the Asia Cup, the World Cup in Spain, there was like a few Zoom meetings and things, so people would like just discuss kind of the process. Benny Roach, the team manager, was really good at always like communicating everything that was happening. We had a WhatsApp group as well, so you could ask any questions if you need to. And then, straight into the World Cup in Spain, which was just epic.
Wow. How did you prepare personally in your role before you left, basically?
Yeah, so basically for me, it was just like making sure like I was like mentally ready. Like it is 3 weeks away from home and you are traveling with the team, so it's like kind of putting yourself a bit on the back burner, and like everything, all your energy is being put out into like taking care of this team, which was like an experience as well. So just kind of learning to take care of yourself at the same time. I like went to the gym, make sure I was just like physically kind of fit, because when you're at training, it's like you're running around, catching balls, that kind of stuff. So just making sure you're fit and you're go, go, go all day, from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to bed. That's all you're thinking about is the team. So just kind of just being really, just taking the time, I think, just to be really mentally ready for that, as well as like physically. But I did a like bit of research as well, so I was always looking up like my treatment techniques kind of things before I left, just to see if there's anything else out there. And then just touching base with the team as well was pretty important, just to make sure you felt like you were still included and not just flying out into the middle of nowhere by yourself, I guess.
It's great to be included in that day-to-day process as well, not just the treatments, but being included in the practice, like kicking some balls around for them and things like that. So you get to experience a lot more of that team culture as well, being able to do those sort of things as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you were like isolating yourself from that other stuff, it wouldn't really feel like you got the most out of it. Like anything that popped up, I went along to tactical meetings. Like I don't know that much about soccer tactics, but I do now, you know what I mean? And as well as like, it also then helps with your rapport with the like players, with the trainers, with the coaches, like, you know, all that stuff. So just being as involved as possible was like, my main goal, just to like get the most out of it.
That actually leads me into one of your other questions, is how did you build that trust and rapport with the players?
Yeah, so it's just like pretty slowly, I guess. Like I didn't try to launch in and be anyone's like best mate or anything. For me, it was just like slowly through conversation when they were on the table with me. And then like also, it just wasn't a hard, like I said before, it just really wasn't a hard thing, because they were all the players, all the staff, super approachable. They all ask how you're going all the time. Like, there was always a priority to have dinner all together, eat dinner, breakfast, lunch, always together. You always did your walk down together. Like everything was as a team. So you just kind of like felt like you were kind of one of them. And then it was a bit daunting, because I was like one of the few female staff on like a heavily male team. So I was a bit daunted, but then I've got older brothers. So like, you know, it's just kind of like hanging out that way. You make a couple of jokes and you're kind of on the good side, I think.
Yeah, good experience with it then.
Yeah, it was good.
So what was your typical day like whilst you were in Spain? What was the routine? Was each player you treated different, or were there themes in how you treated your athletes? And did you get any downtime? Did you actually get to do any sightseeing, anything like that?
So typical day, depends if it was like a training day or like a game day, as how it kind of ran. So if it was like a training day, we always did morning monitoring first up. So that's where the players come in, they check in with Dan, the head physio. They do their weigh in and they do a grind squeeze. So there's like a way to monitor. They also have to do like a mental wellbeing check in online and fill everything out. So I always made sure I was there for those just to see how each player was pulling up each day. Then you head off to breakfast. Usually then there'll be like a training. So you head off to training, set up for training, watch the training, you come back, we'll do recovery. So when we were in Spain, I think they did a few sessions in the pool, a few sessions at the gym. So I always attended those as well. Then there'd usually be like a meeting later on in the day for like a team meeting. So if there was a game the next day, they'd be talking their tactics, they'd be talking their starting lineups, that kind of stuff. And then dinner, the usual kind of thing, early to bed. So like on training days, there was like a little bit of downtime, I guess. Match days were a little bit different in terms of we still did the check-in, but like then we'd go on a team walk all together. Breakfast, usually the team meeting would be before the game. So then you're re-going over those tactics. And then I was part of the early departure crew each time. So I would go ahead of the team and set up the change room. So like set up their uniforms, set up the snacks, get the ice, set up a massage table, that kind of stuff. And then watch the game. So, and then we would usually head back to recovery, dinner, treatments then usually as well. Dan, the head physio, would usually just send out a treatment window. Me, Rick, and Dan would have like set players. Over the course of the World Cup, we generally just tried to treat the same people. So if they were coming in with kind of the same things, we'd do the same people. So we all kind of like had like a rapport with that person and we could see if there was any noticeable changes. If there was anything to flag, then Dan and Rick would usually do like a reassessment on them. But usually my stuff was more your soft tissue base. So just anyone that was feeling a little bit tight. I did treated a lot of calves, which is always fun. But mainly with the treatment plan for the players, it was just like checking in with them, seeing how their body was feeling that day, any tight areas, just trying to see what we could work through in like usually like a roughly 20-minute time window. A lot of the players I saw usually had the same kind of things presenting day to day. And then it was always just about like monitoring their pain in terms of like CP side versus non-CP side. The CP side was always a lot more like sensitive to pressure. So just being really careful of that, always checking in with the players as well. And then also like even just like trying to think about how then like is the CP affecting their pain or is it like actual like presenting like trigger point kind of pain. So yeah, it was just very interesting day to day changes, as well as I think the interesting thing for me about treating athletes is it's can be very result dependent. So like if they didn't necessarily get a good result, if they didn't get to play the starting 7, if they had a bad time at training, how then that could affect their mental state affecting their physical state on the table. Like you'd notice like players would go from being the chattiest person in the room to being like a little bit more quiet, a little bit more reserved. So I think instead of just like it's like anyone you treat really, you're taking in their like day-to-day life as well as their physical presentation. But yeah, for in that very like specific case where it's all focused about a game, it was interesting to see how the highs and lows of sport could influence then like their presentation on the table.
It sounds like it was quite unique working in that environment with those CP Pararoo athletes versus what you would have done with other sporting clients, although there's that overlap, that general same kind of, they present the same thing during sport, but having CP creates a whole unique approach that you would have had to be adjusted to.
Yeah, definitely. Even just the fact that like, so they have to go through grading, like, so they get classified. So like you're graded into like an FT1, FT2, FT3. So your FT1 being your most affected by CP, your FT3 being your least affected by CP. But then when you go into a World Cup, there's players getting classified for the first time. There's players getting reclassified. So that also throws in a bit of like that mental challenge of where they're at. And the classifications just in general, like quite a brutal process on the body. Like they get put through like a series of tests, and it's almost like it feels like you're just almost having to prove their disability to someone else, like a third party kind of person. So it's a brutal process on the body as well. So even just watching how they come back from the classifications as well, yeah, that's like affecting their body, their mental state, that kind of stuff as well. So like that is like an additional element to like para football, para sports in general, that I just find just so interesting. Because obviously like you got like there's the para sport sporting kind of classifications, so to keep it safe and to keep it regulated. But yeah, it's very, very interesting to watch. Like, yeah, that process is just crazy.
So can you share a standout moment or achievement from your time with the Pararoos? Is there something that has had a lasting impact on you as you've returned home and you get to reflect on your experience?
Yeah, definitely. I think like each day I could have like picked a standout moment, to be honest with you. Like I had the best time. Those players, like that time means a lot to me, and we'll be forever grateful for that. I guess a standout moment for me was we're sitting in a team meeting and they're announcing the starting. Sorry, my headphone just met. Oh, it's better. Sorry. We're sitting in a team meeting and they're announcing the starting 7, and there was a lot of like quite younger players that they took over for the World Cup this year, and I was sitting in the row behind, and one of the guys hadn't got to make his debut yet, so hadn't played yet, and was just like a very keen player, you know, just wanted to get out there. And then they flash across the slide and he was in that starting lineup, and his face just lights up, beaming, like just made you like goosebumps, like all of the staff sitting in the back row just like tearing up a little bit, because for the next 7 minutes of that meeting he is just like, you know, just unbeatable. And you're getting to sit there and you're getting to watch someone have like, that is their dream come true, you know, like, and you're a part of that for like a solid 3 weeks. Like it's just unheard of, like, you know, that like that stuff you don't get in your day to day just generally. So yeah, just getting to be a part of that and watching those, like even just like it might seem like a little moment, but like yeah, it just felt massive. So
Awesome.
yeah, it's just super grateful for that. Yeah.
So do you have any advice for our members who are considering applying for these national sporting organisation scholarships, but that be a little bit hesitant to put themselves forward?
Oh, I would just say, just do it. It is unmatched, you know, just the opportunity to work with a team for a whole year, like see them over the 12 months, see the progression, see the players come in and out, see the whole process, just get to be a part of that. And like if something like this with the Pararoos pops up, like they were just like I've said, I'll say it a million times until I'm blue in the face, but they were just a great team to be part of. I'm so lucky. So yeah, I think if I wouldn't hesitate, you know, I would just apply for as many as I could, because working in sport can be few and far between. So like, yeah, grab it by the handles, I guess. Like, I would. It was just like, yeah, nothing to be afraid of. Like you just got to walk through the doors and you were part of the team. And if you were like hesitant about it or you wasn't sure about it, like the learning experience in general was massive. So if you didn't take anything away, just getting to be there and learn from all the players and the physios and the wellbeing team, and even just if you just like sport, you get to watch sport like for a portion of your day, like so good.
You've had a pretty unique experience by being able to work with the one team for, was that 12 months in the lead up to the camps and a couple of the big tournaments that you've had, and traveling overseas with them. You've had quite a unique experience, whereas most of us would just be working on maybe just the one big event, or you know, rarely do you get to work with one team for an extended period of time. So you've had an amazing experience.
Oh yeah, super grateful. Like, don't take it for granted at all. Like I was super lucky just to be involved, and being involved for that period of time. It's just like unmatched.
So what's next for Georgia? How's the experience shaped you and your goals and professionally, and how are you taking that experience into the future now?
So I think it's put me in like yeah, a really cool place because I now have like a bit of experience behind me as well. So I think, yeah, just getting that experience can sometimes be the hardest thing. So with a lot of applications for sport teams, they want you to have like that experience of traveling international with a team, working with a team for longer than just one event. So just being able to say that I have that is like pretty massive in terms of just like my experience. I would definitely like to keep working in sport, being a part of a team. Just, yeah, it was just really fulfilling. I really enjoyed it. So if anything, it's just fueled a bit of fire to keep trying to chase that like kind of next opportunity or see what comes from like just this opportunity. And then, yeah, just like, yeah, I'm going to be like a Pararoo for life. I think like watching all their games, like that is what's next for me, like just keeping up to date and yeah, just cheering them on from the sidelines no matter what.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us today on Connect, and
No, you're welcome.
good luck with using that experience to to expand your professional career. Well done.
Easy. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Georgia.
You're welcome.